Hello everybody, today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable little raccoon slider card. He slides on the track, kind of hides behind the trees, pops back and forth. So cute and easy to make. So let's get started. This one features the Foxy Friends stamp set, available from Stampin' Up. The stamp set makes a variety of really cute creatures. You can do foxes, reindeer, cats, only limited by your imagination. This is a photopolymer set, available for $27. Now there is also a coordinating punch as well that matches with this set, available as well for $18. And we're not using this one for this particular video, but I want you to be aware that it does exist. And if you wanted to purchase it, you can save a little money by bundling them together, save 10%. Alright, so let's get started. So first off, we're going to get a card base in soft smoky slate. This is for that nice gray background. Then we're going to do our background sky, and this is going to be in soft sky. And this is cut at 5 3 3/4. That's for our background right there. All right, and then we're going to use some of the new in colors, and this is Emerald Envy. Is the green I used. Okay, and so we're going to need 2 pieces cut in the Emerald Envy, both at 5 inches by 2 1/4. So 5 by 2 1/4. Now one of these pieces we're actually going to cut out. Now I got that fun little smiley face using the sliding star framelits. Now this is a really cool set. You can do really nice motion cards that fold all the way around. But for this one I just did this slider and ran it through the Big Shot. And that cuts out that perfect shape. Okay? Only 27 bucks for all those fun dies. Okay? So got those cut. And the next thing we're going to need is some trees. Now I did a variety of trees. I did them in the Emerald Envy as well, but also in Old Olive was the coordinating color. And I did a variety of sizes. There's not really a right or wrong size, but you probably don't want the smallest tree for the bunch in the front because it'll be hard to hide him completely. But I cut these trees out using the Perfect Pine framelits. There's 1, 2, 3 different sizes of trees that you can use, and I primarily did the middle and the larger ones with a few little ones, so just kind of personal preference on the size. But I ran those through the Big Shot. And then also the other thing I would recommend doing is cutting off the little stems. So you can see now it's got that little tree trunk, and I just think it looks a little better without it. It kind of looks like a more full tree. But if you want to leave that on, you can. But for this, I went ahead and I cut those little pieces off with my paper snips. Okay. All right, so let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is, now that I've got all my pieces, is I want to go ahead and stamp and cut out my little raccoon, which is so cute. And I stamped him in this smoky slate ink. Get my little scrap of white here. Okay, and because this is a photopolymer set, I do recommend using the Stampin' Up's Pierce Mat. I like to tuck it under my grid paper so it just keeps from getting any ink on it, and gives it that extra support and cushion to give it a good crisp stamp. So I've got my photopolymer there. We're just going to ink it up and stamp it on the white. Because I'm cutting it out, it doesn't really necessarily matter where I stamp it on the paper. Then you just peel it off. There you go. Nice gray. Now, to get his little face, if you can see that, his little face and ears, and then he also has a little zigzag tail, which is so cute. It comes in the set. What I'm basically going to do is double stamp it in the smoky slate again. So doing the gray on top of gray will give it a darker effect. Kind of just a darker shade. Now what's also nice with the photopolymer is if you want it even darker, you can line it up and do it again. You can see that on there. So it just gives it a darker hint of gray. So I'm going to do the same thing with his little face, this little mask. Just line that up and stamp it on there. There we go. So we've got our basic raccoon. Now we do still need to do his eyes and nose, which is also another stamp that's in this set. I'm going to use my basic black archival. The little tiny face. Now I know mine are a little stained. I recommend when buying any photopolymer set to not stamp in black as the very first color. They do stain. They still work fine even if they're stained. But they won't stain as bad if the first color you use is like a softer color. There you go. There's our cute little raccoon. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do is cut him out. It's kind of a term, a fussy cut, when you cut it out and cut around the edge. But for the sake of time, I went ahead and cut one out for us. So here's my raccoon. Done. Now, the other thing you're going to need to do the slider card, where are they? Right here, is 2 pennies. Now, I've seen this technique also done with washers, which is fine if that's what you have lying around the house, but I find that 2 pennies is a little cheaper than washers at most places. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is flip him over and glue a penny on the back. Now, when I glue the penny on the back, I'm going to get this a little closer so you can see it. You do want to center it so that you don't see it hanging over the edge. Now, to adhere it, I used my Tombow liquid glue. It gives it a strong hold, but it does take a minute to dry. So you do want to be sure that it's good and dry before you move on to the next step. Okay. Now let's go ahead and we're going to put the rest of our card together a bit. Okay, fold it in half. Now I went ahead and glued a sheet of blue on there, so that's done. Now we're going to go ahead and glue the solid piece of the Emerald Envy on top. This is just our green background. Lines up with the sky. Go. Just like that. Okay. So now at this point, the other thing we're going to need is some dimensionals. And you guys know I love my dimensionals. You can see how well this sheet is used. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put dimensionals on the corners of the piece that's got the smiley face. I'd like to put one in the middle there too. There we go. So hit all the corners. Now you don't want to put it too close to the track because you don't want to impede the movement later. You'll see once we get it together what I mean, but just don't put the dimensionals too close to that edge. Alright, once you've got them on there, just peel off the little backings. It's really handy to have nails for this part. There we go. Once you got the little backings off, you just line it up and put it down. So you've got the green with that little track. Now we want to go ahead and glue down our trees that are in the background. See, the ones in the foreground, we're going to add dimensionals and do in a minute, but you want to do at least 3. You can do more or less, personal preference on that. And I really liked mixing up the colors of my trees. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that. Now you can either glue it where they're kind of poking up a little bit, or you can just glue the tops flat. Doesn't really matter either way. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue some trees down. Go. Just like that. Now do, especially for the big ones, be mindful of the edge of your card. Go. This little guy on. Go. And should I do one more? No, we'll just stick with 2 for now. Okay, so give that a second. Okay, so now we're gonna, while those are drying, I'm gonna go ahead and do the bundle for the front. Now when I say bundle, it really looks better if you do several trees together and not just 1 or 2, because you want enough that he can hide behind and it'll overshadow him. So you can line it up like that. You can do it kind of like that. You know, personal preference how you want your trees to line up. But you don't want them to be too far apart that he's poking through the trees. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just glue on the edge of that. There we go. And actually I'm going to do a little one for the front for contrast on the other side. Just like that. So, see, there we go. We got our little tree bundle just like that. Okay? Very good. Alright, so we do have our raccoon. He's got his penny. We've got our base, that. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and do the slider part. So I'm going to take my other penny, and you've got this nice track, and you're just going to tuck it in the track, just like that. Now you want to tuck it in to where basically both edges of the penny are slightly hidden. If you do it to where, you know, you're seeing a full edge, it's not going to slide as well. So you do want to try to make it as even as possible, just right in the center as much as you can. Alright, so for this one I'm going to go ahead and do a dimensional. Now if you have the dimensional strips, those will work as well for this, but you're going to just stick it in the center of that penny, and you'll see, if I can do it gently, it'll just kind of rotate along. Now because this is still a little bit wider than this dimensional, it may still want to turn. See, like how he wants to flip. If you don't want him to have that much motion, what you can do, let me show you this with my paper snips here. What you can do is basically see how there's that edge, that little zigzag edge of the dimensionals? You can cut off a little V. Now this is only if you are worried about him moving, too much. But if you do a little V like that, and basically, I'll do it on this side, it's a little more penny room. Go like that. Basically gives it a little more of a solid track, so that way it's not going to rotate back and forth. But if you don't mind that, then just one dimensional will do fine. Okay? So then we're going to go ahead and make sure that's on there good. Yeah. Take our little backings off the dimensional. Come here. And take our raccoon, and we're basically going to sandwich the dimensionals between the two pennies, and you're just going to have to eyeball it the best you can. It can be a little tricky to get centered. It doesn't have to be perfect, but there we go. So there is our raccoon, and he's on our little slide. Now see, he doesn't move like this one does as much. Okay, so now we need to do our trees for him to hide behind. Now I put the raccoon down first, because that way it's easier to determine where your trees need to go. Otherwise, and it's also a little trickier to put him under the trees afterwards. So what we're going to do, now you may not be able to see, I'll see if I can show you. So for these trees, they're basically only glued, adhered at the top. So it's completely open underneath for him to slide under. And this was just done by stacking dimensionals. So let me show you what I mean when I say stacking dimensionals. You're just going to take one, peel off the backing, and then take another one and stack it right on top. So when I said stacking, I did literally mean stacking the dimensionals. So once you have, and because keep in mind he already has a dimensional, so he's going to be standing up. So you want it to be high enough so he can slide underneath. Okay. So after you've got your dimensionals on, you can kind of eyeball and figure out where you want your tree. Now do keep in mind, and this is why I have him over here, you don't want his tail to get caught. So you want it high enough that he can still slide freely under it. Okay. So I think for this one, we're going to get a little more feet, probably. Okay, so I'm just going to take the little backing off. Go. And you can do an extra one on the other tree if you want. Just don't mind. Okay, sticking like that. Okay. So there he is. He's just kind of popping from through the trees, just like that. Isn't that fun? And with this card, I mean, you can add more effects, you can add more sentiments or anything like that. You can also do this technique with any of the other cute critters in the set and also make some fun cats. You could do it with the fox. Any of those would work as well. But this is just a really cute, simple slider card that I hope you guys will enjoy and make plenty of. So thanks for watching, guys. If you would like purchasing information on how to get a hold of your own stamp set of the Foxy Friends, do check out my website, www.michellescraftcorner.com. And until then, take care.